chameleon, panther chameleons are the two most commonly kept species in captivity. Today I'm going to be going over some of the differences so then you can decide which is the right fit for you. Without further ado, let's get into the video. I want to let you guys know that I came out with a website. It is neptunethechameleon.com. I put in so much time, love, and passion into this website, and I hope you guys find it as an amazing resource to learn how to care for your chameleon. In there you will find enclosure setups, what bugs are safe to use, gut loading, supplementation, egg laying, signs of a sick chameleon. I even went in there and included shopping lists, discounts, and the option to book a video call with me. So be sure to check it out. Again, it's neptunethechameleon.com. Let me know what you think, and I hope it helps you out. First things first is cost. So veils are significantly cheaper than panther chameleons. A male panther chameleon will be $500+, whereas a veiled chameleon will be less than $200. And this is just the years and years of breeding chameleons where panther chameleons will have dedicated breeders who specialize just in that, and then the supply and demand has kind of driven up the cost, whereas the veils were cranked out. There's just tons of people who are breeding them, tons of people who are buying them, a lot of turnover. Petco, PetSmart sells them for super cheap, so they've just grown the reputation of being a cheaper chameleon versus a panther chameleon. Now, when we're talking about care, they have very similar care. Their cage requirements are the same, their supplements are the same, day temperatures are the same, egg laying care is the same. Where it's slightly different is their daytime humidity. So panthers have a slightly humidity range than veils. Panthers are around 50 to 60% and veils are around 40 to 50%. Very, very minor, and I don't think enough that would make you kind of pick one over the other based off of the humidity, but it's worth mentioning. What is a slightly bigger care difference is veils have a lower nighttime temperature, 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit at night, versus a panther chameleon is more 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit at night. So that's something you may want to take into consideration when you're deciding between a veiled or a panther chameleon. And speaking of breeders, back in the day, veils used to be super easy to get your hands on, but a difference nowadays is I feel like it's harder to find good veiled breeders, or it's much easier to find panther breeders that are, doing right by the species and the animals, individually raising them, everything that you're looking for in a breeder. There's quite a few panther chameleon breeders who are putting in that time, and nowadays it's a lot harder to find a veiled breeder who is putting in that same level of effort. And I think it comes down to the cost, really, right? Like if you're from a breeder, just from a business standpoint, you're gonna make more money raising and selling panther chameleons than you are raising and selling veiled chameleons because of the different price points that they've kind of gained over the years. So if you're looking for someone who is a reputable breeder, odds are you might need to go with the panther chameleon just for that reason alone, because there are a lot of great breeders, whereas veiled's kind of hard to find right now. Another thing I wanted to mention on was plant eating. So veils do have a reputation of being plant eaters, which means it's super important that you use live plants inside of your veiled chameleon enclosure, because there's a very high chance that they're going to munch on the leaves and ingest any plants that you have inside of your enclosure. So if you were to use a fake plant, then there's a chance that your chameleon could try and eat that fake plant, potentially swallow it, could get impacted and have health issues. So it's so important, especially if you have a veiled chameleon, that you use exclusively live plants. Now, panther chameleons, while there have been documented cases of panthers eating plants, is significantly less common. None of my panthers have tried to eat their plants for them to eat plants versus a veiled chameleon. So you may be able to get away filling in some empty spaces with some fake plants. My personal recommendation is to use exclusively live plants, regardless of if you have a veiled or a panther, but I think it was worth mentioning that veils are known to be plant eaters. And just because they eat plants does not mean that you should be feeding them fruits and vegetables, okay? Both are insectivores and both should be exclusively fed live bugs. Another difference between veiled and panther chameleons are their colors. So I think panther chameleons come in a wider variety of colors versus veiled. I'm not saying that veiled still have beautiful colors, like the greens, yellows, pops of blues, absolutely stunning. However, the variety of colors that panthers come in is not even close to veiled chameleons. They can come in blue, purple, red, green, yellow, orange, even white. So the range of colors in a panther chameleon, I think, makes them very different than veiled chameleons. Also their head shape. So veils have that cast, that big tall piece on their head, versus panthers, while they technically have a cast, they're both called the same thing. Theirs is much flatter than the veils that is nice and tall. So keeping that in mind when you're putting your basking temperatures and basking ranges in your veiled chameleon's enclosure, you need to take into consideration the space on their head, right, and factor that in as they're growing and their cast is getting bigger. It's unfortunately very common for people to burn the top of their veiled chameleon's head in that cast. So just keep that in mind when you're picking a chameleon and when you're setting up their enclosure. Another thing as far as colors and everything like that, so panthers will be born brown and then they'll get their colors as they get older, and then veils are born green and then they'll get colors as they get older. What's pretty cool with a veiled chameleon though is you can tell if they're a male or a female right out of the egg. At the back feet, if it's nice and smooth at the heel, then that'll be a female veiled chameleon. Now if there's a little bump called a tarsal spur, then that'll be a male veiled chameleon. Now, this does not work for panthers. Panther chameleons are born brown, and the way that you can tell if they're male or female is through the base of their tail. If there's a bulge, that is where the hemipenes is. It's called hemipenal bulge, and that's where the male reproductive organs live. So a baby male panther chameleon will have a tiny little bulge there, whereas a female will be nice and straight. Now this is super, super subtle, very subtle. People get it wrong all the time, and it does take a little bit of training yourself to, notice the difference, but they have very different colors. So the males will be the bright, crazy colors, and then the females will be the peaches and purples. So when they get older, then it's much easier to tell the difference, but as a baby, that's how you can tell. And the last thing that I wanted to touch on was temperament. So the textbook answer is that panthers have a much chiller temperament than veils, who are known to be a little bit more feisty. I disagree with this, and that's because I own Neptune the chameleon, who is a feisty firecracker, and he has so much personality, is the nice way to put it, and really it just comes down to his fear response. So Neptune is a very fearful chameleon, so he constantly feels like he has to protect himself through gaping, hissing, puffing, and potentially lunging and trying to bite me. And panthers are known for being chill, right? So that you have Neptune, who's obviously an exception, but then you have veiled chameleons who are so chill, and they'll just come right on you and hang out and don't have any sort of fear response, don't puff up, don't gape or anything like that. So I personally think wow, maybe that is a thing that happens, is maybe yes, there are more feisty veils than panthers. I don't think anyone should go into owning a chameleon and making the decision solely based on the stereotype that panthers are chill and veils are feisty, because I have a feisty panther chameleon and there are chill veils. So really just pick the one that you think will fit your environment, what your personal interests, the one that you think is cool, and the one that you think you'll take the best care of. So I hope this video is helpful in you understanding the differences between a veiled and a panther chameleon. Let me know if you want me to do any other chameleons. Maybe we can talk about panthers versus Jacksons, or carpets versus veils, Parsons chameleons. Just let me know down in the comments. Otherwise, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Let me know questions or comments down below. Feel free to subscribe so when I post a new video. Follow Neptune and all my chameleons on social media at Neptune the Chameleon. And if you're looking for more great information, please check out neptunethechameleon.com. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye! Not commonly. Oh gosh. This is gonna be one of those videos. Why is this so difficult? Okay.